what could be better than yet another Santoni shoe review? Probably the upcoming review of my new Lardini blazer, but that's for the near future. Today we are looking at two new additions to my Santoni collection, a pair of understated yet architecturally precise sneakers and a pair of timeless Chelsea boots built on a classic silhouette. At first glance these two could be more different, apart from the name on the label, but what connects them is the essence of true artisanal shoe craftsmanship. A careful selection of materials, precise construction, and an unmistakable hand-finished character that gives each pair depth and individuality. Beyond that, they both carry something I personally value most about Santoni, a quiet complexity, a kind of non-obviousness. It's always a play on form, texture, and color. The shoes are never flat, never predictable, never just fine. There's always something quietly complex happening beneath the surface, and that's exactly what makes them so compelling. So, my name is Anastasia, and today we are taking a closer look at yet another two pairs of shoes from one of my favorite brands, Santoni. Now, while I keep the sneakers untouched right up until this review, preserving the full beauty of their pristine, almost architectural form, these boots have already been through the baptism by fire, or rather by January 1st, if you know what I mean. And we will start with the sneakers. These are a collaboration between Santoni and Mercedes-AMG, where Italian craftsmanship meets the aesthetic of motorsport and engineering precision. But before we even get to the shoes, the packaging deserves a moment. It's unexpectedly good. The lid comes with a metallic finish, while the box features a textured side panel that mimics carbon fiber. A very bold hint at the AMG DNA. I haven't enjoyed packaging like this in a while, maybe only with perfumes. Inside we are greeted with synthetic satin dust bags with a cool metallic undertone that echoes the lid of the box, and already at this stage you feel the play on textures, matte carbon versus soft satin. And here they are, the first stars of today's episode. The model comes in a mid-top silhouette, slightly above the ankle, which I personally love because it always adds this subtle, almost harmless boldness and playfulness even to the most restrained outfit. It gently pushes the boundaries of what feels appropriate, and that's exactly where the charm is. I counted 5 different textures here, which makes them anything but boring, exactly my thing. It's quite a design move, but with a surprisingly strong impact against the monotony of everyday dressing. This mix of materials is very characteristic of the Santoni 4AMG line, where leather, suede, and technical fabrics interact almost like components in a car. Color palette is soft, powdery beige pink with cool gray accents. That pastel quality makes them incredibly versatile. They feel appropriate everywhere and with almost anything. Details, of course, do the heavy lifting here. The dense lacing with white straps echoing that engineer feel, especially with the mesh pattern echoing the technical insert. Clean leather panels shape the geometry of the silhouette, and the lines and cuts on the sole are simply stunning, as if they were sliced through by air itself. The AMG logo is interacted very subtly, which is worth noting because other models were much louder. This feels like a clear evolution. Inside it's a classic Santoni, leather lining, soft construction, designed not just for aesthetic, but for actual long wear. I genuinely enjoy just looking at them, but what really stands out is that about 5 minutes after putting them on, I completely forget I'm wearing them. That's very typical for Santoni sneakers, that level of comfort where your foot just merges with the shoe. Most of the time my purchase is already lifting by the time I feel them. Capturing shoes in that pristine state is almost a luxury. And these sneakers are one of those rare cases. Even though they arrived a couple of months ago, I actually had to stop myself from wearing them until this review. I sometimes have to do that quite literally, just like with my previous Santoni Chelsea boots, which I didn't wear before filming either. In that video, by the way, there were 3 Santoni pairs in total. Feel free to check it out. There were even men's brogue Oxfords included. But enough lyrical digression. Let's move on to something that might feel slightly out of scene right now, but remains an absolute time classic. A Chelsea boots in Santoni's interpretation. These Santoni Chelsea boots are a refined take on a classic silhouette, balancing understated elegance with subtle artisanal detail. They arrived in a large, well-proportioned box matching the size of the shoes, finished in a minimalist grey-beige tone with a striking, vibrant orange interior. Inside, as usual, we find a brand card outlining the philosophy of Santoni and, of course, the boots themselves. Neatly wrapped in their dust bags, this time with the same satin sheen, but in warm tone that matched the box. Crafted from smooth polished calf leather in a deep bitter chocolate tone, they carry an almost patinated depth that feels quite luxurious rather than attention-seeking. Compared to another Santoni Chelsea pair I reviewed recently, this version is entirely made, giving it a more grounded, almost quiet presence. The elastic side panels are seamlessly integrated, keeping the profile clean and uninterrupted. What sets them apart is the delicate wingtip brogue detailing along the toe and edges, a restrained decorative touch that adds heritage character without breaking the minimalism of the Chelsea shape. The stitching is precise and intentional, reinforcing the sense of craftsmanship. The sole is about 1 cm thick, with a 3 cm heel that keeps it low and comfortable, ideal for long autumn walks. Despite the modest height, it subtly elongates the overall silhouette, maintaining a refined, dressed-up posture. Overall, this is a pair that doesn't rely on bold statements. It communicates quality through proportion, material, and detail, staying true to Santoni's refined and restrained aesthetic. Despite all their excellence, I have to clarify a mistake I made. I bought them to wear in winter. And this winter, as many of us experienced it, unless you were somewhere like Hawaii, turned out to be unexpectedly harsh. Where I live, the snow drifts were nearly my height and the average temperature sat around 15 below zero. I was expecting a typical European winter, which many imagine as a mild 5 to 10 degree. But that was far from reality. This winter, the only appropriate footwear would have been felt boots, honestly. These boots are made of leather, and leather conducts cold from the outside in without retaining warmth. Without any insulating lining, they simply aren't suited for low temperatures, and I could only wear them during brief thaws around 0 degree. At 5 below zero, I already come home with red, aching toes from the cold, and this is by no means a flaw of the boots, it's entirely my lack of foresight. After 3 years of island life in 25 degree, I completely forgot that winter romance often comes with minus 15 degrees temperatures. That said, the lowest temperature at which they remain comfortable is around 3 below zero. I usually wear a size 35.5 in Santoni, but I went for a 36 this time, so I could comfortably fit a thick wool sock, and with that setup, they feel absolutely fine in that temperature range. As I have mentioned before, what I really love about Santoni is this idea of multiplicity of character. How different each pair can feel while still belonging to the same world. On one side you have sneakers, technical, layered, almost engineered in the construction, speaking the language of modern design and movement. On the other, the Chelsea boots, restrained, heritage-driven, built in proportion, quiet elegance, and timeless structure. And despite how different they appear, they are essentially telling the same story, just from two different perspectives. One is more forward-looking and expressive, the other more grounded and minimal. But both are ultimately by the same thing: precision, materiality, and the subtle complexity that makes Santoni so distinct. After such a cold winter, it feels especially good to finally see spring arriving. To finally put away the coats, tights, and hats, throw on a leather jacket and my new Santoni sneakers, and just step outside, fully giving into the sunlight. Dear friends, I want to congratulate you on the arrival of spring. I wish you plenty of sunny days and long, easy strolls. Until then, my name is Anastasia. See you in the next video.